And speaking of Bravo, well, that leads me to Paul Newman and Our Town. How did that come about? What's your training? As an actress?
That was amazing because I had been volunteering at Hole in the Wall Gang Camp for about 10 years, which, if nobody knows, Paul Newman founded the camp for kids with AIDS, cancer, etc. And every year they have a gala, big fundraising gala. And I'd go up after I had volunteered to help. And I was helping Annie Keefe, who is the
Playhouse. I just saw her the other day.
The artistic director of the Westport Playhouse. Marvelous. And we were working backstage. She was the producer, and I was the gopher. And she said, "What are you doing, Cynthia?" And I said, "Well, you know, since I've retired, I'm trying to do all the things I've always never had time for. And one was I'm taking some acting lessons. I had done, you know, just a little bit of community amateur stuff." And so that was it. And about maybe, I don't know, a couple of months later, she called and she said, "You know, Paul is doing Our Town, and wondered if you were interested in auditioning for the older woman."
The older woman?
The older woman, the dead woman in the part. And I said, "Of course, I'd love it." And I auditioned and
got the part.
Got the part.
Now step back here. Had you had any acting lessons in between when you talked to Annie? She just saw you, liked your energy?
I loved acting, always did. And I had little parts in the community theater things, but that was way back. So, anyway.
And had you told Annie that? Did she know that you had that history or not?
No, I just told her I was taking acting lessons.
So did you do the whole run at the Westport Playhouse?
Yes.
And then you went to Broadway.
Well, they said they were going to do it in Broadway, and I thought, well, they'll get a pro, you know. And they said, "No, we'd like you to come."
You know, I think, I'm just going to editorialize here, but I think you're a lot more accomplished than you think, because we were talking before the show again. We did a lot of talking before the show. And we were talking about you being a musician, and I've read a lot about you being a pianist. And you kept saying, no, I'm an amateur pianist. I'm an active but amateur pianist. And I think in terms of what I've read about you and where you played, etc., I don't know what makes a pro. Maybe a pro is somebody who gets paid the big bucks, but I think you're quite an accomplished pianist. And it sounds like you're more accomplished as an actress than maybe you think you are. Perhaps.
Well, I think it's kind of in me, because I remember when I used to have to practice for recitals, and in my house, this was when I was a little girl, it had a curtain separating the living room from the dining room. So when nobody was in the house, I would get up and I would introduce myself, and I would take a bow, and then I would come out and play my little recital piece. And so I kind of always loved the fact of being on stage. And it was just a great thrill. And luckily I had a very generous friend, Cynthia Wallace, who offered a bed in her apartment.
In the city, we're talking about Broadway now.
And I lived in the city for almost 3 months. Wow. But they had a van that could take us back, you know, and forth from Westport to New York. Paul arranged all that. So, I mean, to just have this plum fall in my lap was extraordinary.
It sounds like later in life.
Yeah,
You're fulfilling
I was 72
one dream
at that
after
time.
the other.
Yeah.
72.
Yeah.
Wow, Our Town was 8 years ago now. Is
That's
that what
right,
you're saying?
2002.
Wow.
Well, more than that. 2002 is when it opened.
I think this town misses Paul Newman. He was such a treasure for the town.
Amazing.
And for this area.
And for the nation.
Yes.
What he's done, you know, with that Hole in the Wall Gang Camp
I know.
is extraordinary.